Now in step 6, we're going to develop a login status component for the login logout buttons. At the top of our application, we'll have this login status component. So if the user's not logged in, we'll give them a login button. Once the user logs in successfully, then we'll welcome them back by name, and then we'll also give them a logout button. So the buttons will change depending on the user's logged in state. Alrighty, so just getting started here, we use the Angular CLI again, ng-generate component, components/login status. And then we'll move into our login status.component.ts file. We take care of some imports up top, our normal at component and our login status component. We'll set up two fields here, is authenticated and user full name. We'll use our constructor to inject the Okta auth service. In our ng-on-init method, we'll simply subscribe to the authentication state changes. So we say Okta auth service.authenticate state.subscribe. We get a result. And we say is authenticated equals to the result. And then we also call this.get user details. Now, what about get user details? Well, it's over here. So it's a method that we'll define in our class here. And we check if this dot is authenticated, then we'll fetch the logged in user details, their claims, and the user full name is exposed as a property name. So here we'll say this.okta auth service.getUser.then. So once we get a response, then we'll say this.user full names equals the response.name. And then also at the bottom here, we'll have a logout method. So when they actually do log out, then we'll make use of the Okta auth service and sign out the user. And this removes the tokens that are associated with this given user. Okay, we also have some work to do on our login status component.html page. So we'll set up this div and we'll make use of this if they're authenticated and user full name is set, then we'll say welcome back user full name. We'll also have another if not authenticated, we'll show them the login button. And if they are authenticated, then we'll show them the logout button. So here, login displays the login button. If they're already logged in or they're authenticated, then we say welcome back username. And then we also provide a logout button for them. All right, so now we need to add our new login status component to the header section of our application. So right now in our application, in our app component.html, we have references to some of our custom components. So earlier we created an app search component. So that's in place now. We also have our app cart status. That's in place. And now we have this new login status component that we just created. And so we'll display it right here between the two. Alrighty, so we're almost done. We're almost done. So this is step 7 of updating our app module configs to connect the routes. So in our app module.ts file, we'll do some imports up top for Okta. We'll also import our myappconfig, that config file that we created a little bit earlier. We'll create this Okta config. And then moving over here, we have a bit more code to write. So we'll set up our routes here. So we have a route for login/callback, and then also a route for login. So login will go to the login component that we just created in the previous slides. So we saw all the code for it. But you may wonder, what's this Okta callback component? All right, so of course, it's something from the Okta SDK. So once the user is authenticated, they are redirected to our application. So normally we would have to parse the response and store the OAuth or OpenID Connect tokens. But the Okta callback component will do this work for you. So there's no need for us to do any of the low-level coding. So we simply allow the Okta callback component to handle this work for us. We also need to make another update here to the app module.ts. So in the import section, we need to import the Okta auth module. Basically give us access to the different components defined in the Okta auth module. And then for providers, we give a reference to Okta config. This allows us to perform dependency injection of the Okta auth service into different parts of our application. Alrighty, so that's pretty much it. So if you'd like to get more information on these Okta components for the Okta sign-in widget, you can use the link here listed on the slide, and also the Okta Angular SDK, the reference here. And the really nice thing about these links is that they give a description as far as the features and functionality that's available. And also you may be a little curious. You'd like to say, I'd like to see the actual source code of what's happening in the background for this given Okta component or this, whatever code. Well, this is the GitHub repo, so you can actually see the real source code behind the scenes as far as all of the low-level work that they're using here for communicating with the Okta platform. All right, good stuff.